Shoebox goes to the movies. Oh my goodness, we're going to be doing a special spoiler cast. Everybody's favorite piece of radicalizing propaganda. Todd Phillips directed, Joaquin Phoenix starring Joker.
Oh my god.
So we all saw it this weekend except for Michael, who's just being a Klingeron. And he's going to be hanging out, asking us questions, probing probably, as he's wont to do.
Deep, dark probing.
Deep, dark probing into the mind of Joker. So for the first, say 5 minutes or so, let's just give general impressions, and then if anybody wants to jump out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything, and then we'll get into heavy spoiler style stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So what's everybody's general thoughts on the movie?
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say since you saw it first, but I guess I am the fresh. Sean would be the freshest take. I saw it last night. I would give it a 7.5 or 8 out of 10, or 3.5 to 4 stars. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I think Joaquin Phoenix was stunning and glorious in his performance. I thought he captured.
Would you say he was a revelation?
Maybe. I would say he definitely made that movie. If you put somebody else in those shoes, I don't think you would be able to get the same effect that Joaquin Phoenix had. And I would say the cinematography is fantastic, and the general direction of the story was overall well done. That's my take.
All right, so Dan thinks it's a masterpiece. Ryan.
All right, so I went on, being awake for 24 hours, and then I went and saw this movie. Got bumped up to IMAX, and I would say, for the most part, I agree with Dan. I really like the atmosphere it created. I really like the soundtrack. For me, it reminded me a lot of Max Payne. I don't know, that might be an obscure thing to relate to, but just like the music and the tone. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought, everybody says Joaquin Phoenix was great. He was great. Yeah,
What's your rating? What would you give it out of 10 or out of 5 stars?
8.5.
Okay.
I really appreciate movies like this. I'm glad they exist because I'm sick of watching just the same old bullshit. So I'm glad it exists. Especially, and I feel like this will be really good on a second viewing. Like, I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah. Okay, Sean is the freshest take.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen. No, I'm just joking. I thought it was okay. I thought overall, I liked it overall. In a broad sense, I did like it. I kind of liked some of even the message. I think the thing that struck me the most actually walking out of the theater was just thinking about all the criticism that had come before I saw it, and how that so much of that is not even in the movie.
Right.
This idea that this is supportive of this position, or it's so much projection on the part of the people that were kind of starting that controversy, and that's what kind of struck me the most. But I would say overall, I really loved, like you guys said. I think I agree with everything you guys said about the direction. I was surprised actually how well it was directed. While Todd Phillips is definitely doing a Scorsese heavy Scorsese ripoff and direction and story homage, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was actually produced by Martin Scorsese as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, because you could really feel that in this movie, and we'll get into that once we get into the spoiler section. The cinematography was fantastic, strong direction. Joaquin Phoenix delivers another great performance. I think his performance is better than the material at times, and I think that actually kind of makes it so the deficiencies in the script and the writing actually don't feel as apparent, because he's really intriguing and enigmatic. You like watching him.
So it elevates the overall experience.
Oh, for sure. It is definitely a performance piece more than anything, right? That is what really makes the movie as watchable as it is. Because it's in my opinion, it has It has a little bit of it's a little confused at times. I think, especially towards the end. I think that third act uh, is a little not. I wouldn't say problematic in the way that like maybe like colloquially we would think problematic. I'd say problematic just from a structure and story standpoint and like a subtext, like what are you trying to say, kind of thing at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in the spoiler section. But yeah, those are my general impressions. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7. A 7 maybe.
That's
A
disgusting.
little low. It's a little low. It's a little low.
It's
I'm
like
not gonna lie.
a little low for this masterpiece.
I find it, for me, watching obviously the two greatest influences for the movie, The King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, before seeing it, I think was not the right choice. I wish I would have watched them after. For me,
Yeah.
it kind of, I
Wait,
could tell.
hold
I
on.
already knew it was.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want. I just wanted to keep this clear of spoilers. I think even invoking those movies is a little bit of a spoiler.
We
Well,
talked
I've never.
about a spoiler alert. You said there's gonna be spoilers.
I know. I said we were going to talk for a few minutes, just generally.
Well, I mean, what do you want from me, man? I gotta let me,
that's fine.
rip,
Alright.
dog. Gotta let me
Alright,
rip. That was
we're
5 minutes at least.
We're
I
just
don't
going
have
to
an
get.
opinion.
We all. What was that, Mike?
I said I don't have an opinion, so just skip over me.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you're just here along for the ride, right?
Well,
Mike,
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Can I ask a question? Did this movie at all make you feel uncomfortable at any
No.
point?
No.
Really? Not even the beginning?
Like uncomfortable in what way? What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, there were just some certain moments in the movie, like especially in the beginning, I just to see someone who is sick. I don't know. I just kind of felt uncomfortable, not in a negative way. And like,
No, I think that's the point. Like the movie's
Right.
trying to like build a sense of sympathy, and then that is supposed to turn. It's never supposed to turn. You're never not because you're supposed to understand like how a person could become what they become, right?
yeah,
And it definitely starts with it's trying to gain your sympathy, like pretty hardcore. Like they want you to feel bad for him. They want you to like empathize with him in a way.
yeah.
But I guess we'll just open it up to spoilers, and we'll just go back to what Dan's talking points there. So you watched
My
both-
right wing incel talking points.
Yes.
Uh,
So you watched King of Comedy and Taxi Driver like right before watching this?
Within the last couple weeks,
Yeah.
I watched them. I think it made it cool because when I watched it, I was seeing what you would call the homages. There's a scene where the Joker is in his apartment, or Arthur is in his apartment, and he is laying on his couch, and they have that shot where he's sitting in the far left side. It's very similar to the scene in Taxi Driver at the end. Where you know what I'm talking about, where he's got his arm and he's sitting there. It's very similar.
Well, I think the movie is literally like a mashup of those two movies.
It is, and it isn't to me. I think it's really what it's about to me. When I watched it, it's about the delusion. He was delusional, obviously. And he had this idea, which is very much like Rupert Pupkin and
Travis Bickle.
and Travis Bickle, is the delusion of the world that they lived in, and the similarity to Taxi Driver is the obsession with the delusion of what's going on around him, as far as always out at night in the Taxi Driver, being constantly in contact with these kind of disgusting people and scum, as people would say, or clowns. If you watch the Joker, you'll get it. Robert Pupkin and Arthur Fleck are very similar in their character development, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and the fact that I would agree. I think it works better in King of Comedy than it does in Joker. I feel like Joker, that first hour is really good, and it doesn't feel, it's like not too on the nose. There's a good amount of subtlety. You're getting to spend the time to really like internalize how this person feels,
Mhm.
And then there's just a point where the movie he's just like, well, now he has to be like crazy now, and like and it feels a little unearned, and then he feels a little. It's a little confusing in the
Really?
sense of like
I disagree.
I feel like there's a beat missing from the story that would have like more smoothly transitioned him into what he's doing. I could be wrong.
Doesn't that coincide like with his because he's not taking his medication anymore?
Right. He stops
Yes.
taking his medication,
For sure.
and I think this to me, the pacing of his downfall, or I guess you could say uprise.
Or maybe they don't do a good
Was
enough job
done.
of showing the passage of time because like it's sort of, there's a little bit of like truncatedness. There's like a contrivance where it's like, okay, so we get the plot point that he's not going to get his medication anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't this happen over like a day? Like he just got his medication.
Well, we don't know that.
So
And I
Yeah,
think
we
it's-
don't know that.
And then
But
we don't know what the time period is, but you imagine it's in a few days.
They
say
do
what kind of
show us-
medication?
Like 7 different types of medication.
but there's also it's proven.
medication.
It's proven actually though. I believe, and I've been told this before by therapists and stuff. If you are on medication, you cannot just stop taking it.
Sure,
If you
yeah.
stop taking it, it can cause depression or can cause you to go into some sort of psychosis or something like that. So it's definitely possible.
I
Well,
thought
so
there was a scene that specifically pointed out that he had no more medication where he's like on the counter and he dumped out his pill bottle and there's only 2 pills left.
That's possible. I might have missed that for sure. Yeah.
There
I
might
could-
have been something like that. I can't remember, to be totally honest, that specific scene, but it's the descent is to me paced well, and I don't know what could they have done. What could have Todd Phillips?
There's
Could have
because
been longer.
there's such a weird it escalates very quickly in the last act. Like all that the stuff with the cops and everything is brought in so late into the movie
Yeah.
that you're kind of like, well, this is all happening like really fast, like all of a sudden. Because
What?
up until that point, it had been kind of meticulous in the way that it was like building, and it had like a natural feel to it, a naturalistic feel. And then suddenly it felt a little contrived. Like the way he gets information is very contrived to me.
Who gets information
Arthur Fleck.
when he
Like-
finds out all this
like-
stuff about Thomas Wayne and everything?
Like how he finds out he's adopted is by Thomas Wayne telling him that in the bathroom.
Sure.
And like that sends him down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Where
it
else
wasn't
would
a
he have
better-
got that information?
oh, his mother could have just died, and they released like the medical documents, and he saw
Oh,
he
well,
was.
that's just as lame. It's
Well,
even
it's-
lamer.
Why they set up that she's sick. This is one of the reasons why he's stressed out. It's about people being sick and not being able to get help.
Well, I thought he found out he's adopted when he went to the psych ward or Arkham Hospital.
Well, that's what confirmed it.
That's
It
what
confirmed.
Oh, that happened after? Okay.
That's what makes him go look.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
Thomas Wayne.
And that's when he steals the
With it-
document.
Because the
You know,
movie has like this dips his toe into this eat the rich thing and never really does anything with it and is like very non-committal about it, which it was like, well, why? Like it just some of the subtext was just like of like, how are you? What do you want people to take away from this? Like, are these like, you know what I'm saying?
To me, that seems not what the movie was about to me.
No, I think it's about mental illness.
Well, mental. I don't even know if it's that.
Well, isn't that just like a backdrop kind of?
That to me is like a consequence of his reality that
Well,
he was abused and had all this terrible stuff, and he even admitted that he didn't know he existed. And then once he even says that to his therapist, he says, for years I didn't even know if I existed." And I think it's when he has those delusions with the woman. These delusions is what led him to have confidence and to give him the confidence he needs to be who he really was, to finally accept his identity as Joker. And I think she played a critical role, even though it was a delusion. She played the most critical role probably in the development of who he became.
Really, you don't think it was like the protesters and stuff? Because as soon as he kills those kids and he starts seeing how people react to it, it seems like he found his purpose.
Well, I don't think it was outright. He was just secretly. He's like, I made an impact. The world knows me without knowing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes
know?
that. It's the first time he feels alive because people made notice of something he did.
He made an impact.
Like the entire thing with the Joker, which is what kind of like connects it to more of a comic booky thing, is that he doesn't actually give a shit about all the stuff that's going around. He doesn't care about rich people. He doesn't care about wealth inequality. He doesn't really care about
he loves the chaos.
The healthcare thing was just a consequence of his life, like, so he has to deal with it. But I don't think he doesn't politically give a shit about it, which is weird because he like kind of contradicts himself a little bit. Like that last speech he gives when he's on the Murray Franklin show, it's a little like, and you could say maybe this is intentional. Like it's a little contradictory because he's giving a political speech while at the same time saying like I'm not political, and then which was a little weird to me because then I was just like, well, what is this? What is it saying? Or is this like anti eat the rich people? Is it pro eat the rich people? Like what is it like? Because it kind of posits that. Well, actually, that's not true. I was gonna say it posits that the girl that he likes is kind of like pro eat the rich, right?
Right, but
that's his delusion.
His head.
That was his head. So we cannot confirm whether or not that actually is her position.
No, it's definitely not her position.
You don't really know anything about her, actually.
Right. You the only true moments that you think are real, most likely are real, is the elevator, maybe that weird scene in the hallway, and then when he walks into her apartment later. Yeah. And that's the only moments that are probably actually genuine. And maybe him following her to work was also probably.
I think he followed her, but I don't think she ever came to his apartment and confronted him.
I don't think she noticed. Yeah, that was some weird way to get in his mind that she would find it, like she thought it was funny or something.
Yeah, she thought it was sexy. Yeah,
endearing.
Like, he's a sexy guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like wondering because I didn't notice that it was like all delusions, and I was like,
no
what
one
the fuck is wrong? What is wrong with this bitch? Like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Hey, you follow me to work? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
With my kids.
I think the political statement at the end, which is not, I wouldn't say it was 100% political to me. When he's just speaking to his base.
Well, that's what I mean. He has no base.
But that's the thing, though. He knows that people are already upset now. They're rioting, and I'm not saying he's that 4D chess level like Trump, but there is some sense that he knew he had the city riled up, and what's the best way to rile the city up?
I think that was his intention, right? Like you said, Sean, I don't think he gave a fuck, but he knew like that his intention.
Yeah, it was the most Joker thing that he does in the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's not that he doesn't really care. But I think he is talking about himself because that's how he feels. He's just, instead of saying like, you do this to me, he says, you do this to us. Well, we are in this together. Because the movie, in my opinion, is a cautionary tale about mental health and how people treat people with mental health.
Yeah.
That's like, that is what the movie is about. It's like, so it's kind of like, in a weird way, like going back to the criticism the movie kind of received from the first screenings, is that the people that are doing the criticizing, like talking about these disgusting alt-right incels and yada, 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 they're actually doing the thing that the movie's telling you not to do.
Yeah.
Because the movie's like, don't treat people like garbage. Like, just because somebody's a little weird, maybe they need some help. Like, maybe they need a hand. Like, whatever. Maybe they need some kindness.
Like, that bus scene almost made me cry, dude. I was like, oh my god, that's so terrible. When he just... Like, when you first, figure out where he can't help himself but just to laugh because he's uncomfortable, and it's I was just like, oh my god, that's crazy. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
I think it was the actual... In the way I take the laugh is through my first viewing, it was the Joker always trying to come out. That's who he is supposed to be, and I think...
Well, that's what he thinks. That's what he says. He says, that's just me. It's like, it's not a condition. That's me.
Right. I know. So that's what I'm saying. And at the end, it was that the final moment with Arthur Fleck was him making that cry about mental illness. Like, that was Arthur Fleck leaving. That was it. And when he shot the host, Murray, right? It's his name.
Yeah.
When he shot the host Murray, that was him assuming the role. Finally, that was it. That was the joke that he is Joker, and then that's where, because he did that, he became beyond a joke or a person who murdered somebody. He became a symbol, which is the
martyr.
exact martyr would be he died, right, or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know if martyr is the right word, but I would say a true symbol of what these people wanted. He finally had a collective, and that's when he became the Joker, in my opinion. That was the moment. And then when he stood up after they hit the police car, and then he's suddenly not wearing handcuffs, which I thought, and he is put on the car like this Christ-like figure, and he stands up, and which is the same argument for Taxi Driver or the end of King of Comedy. Is this a delusion? Is this not real? Because then he takes the blood from his mouth and wipes that smile. So good.
How did you guys feel about them, like sneaking in the Waynes getting murdered?
I
think
thought
that was appropriate. Was it like necessary, or
given the context of what's going on in the movie, I thought it was appropriate. I
Yeah.
mean, just because of it didn't bother me. It didn't need to be there either. But I think that's because it goes down this eat the rich road, and it had to do something consequential with it.
yeah?
And that's what they chose to do.
I think it does a decent job of, shedding negative light on each side, relatively. I mean, I think.
I'm not saying the movie has to like stand up for or say anything.
Yeah.
It was like there's something about the last act that's like ungracious enough where it's like, as an audience member, it's like, when am I supposed to turn on him? Like, am I supposed to be like, wow, he's really gone over the edge?
That's why I don't really think the whole movie is for. I never felt necessarily empathetic. It was as a man. I'm not
Even
saying
when you find out he got brain damage because he was abused as a child.
That's as a child. As a child, and I understand that there is some sense of. I do have empathy for the situations that he was in. The level, and it's kind of, to me, when I was watching this, and I think it's because of the King of Comedy, I could already tell whether I knew exactly what was going to happen, pretty much, because it is almost a remake. But I sat there, and there's a point where, is he really mentally ill? To the point, is there true?
Yes.
Is true, or is he just the Joker?
No.
Is that who he? Because that's what he says. He says it.
Yeah, that's him just rationalizing where he's at, and he did something that made him feel good. Like, when he kills like those Wall Street guys, he's not doing it because he wants to kill them. He does it because he's defending himself.
Well, the first two.
No, and then he kills that last guy because he feels like he's gonna get in fucking trouble.
He also shoots him 8 times and doesn't reload, but whatever. Some shit like that.
Movie is fake. Movie is fake.
It's to me, it wasn't about empathy. It was just about. I never felt empathy for him. That wasn't to be. I think it was. I don't think that's what, for me, that wasn't. I didn't feel that.
You were never on his side when you're watching him be mistreated by everybody.
No, it's not about him being. It's obvious. Those were natural reactions for most people, I think.
Yeah, but did you have empathy for him?
The bus thing, I understand.
No, the bus thing is a good example of what you're talking about because you can understand both sides of that.
Yeah, I think it's meant to say, dude, he is freaking weird though. Like, he is. What would you treat that person? And I'm not saying treat him bad, like the way his boss treated him. I can see that, or his coworkers lying about the gun. To me, it was the therapist. That to me was more delusion than. I think those are the things that he wanted to say to her.
No, I'm not saying whether he said that. What it was. Well, I think that really happens because pretty much anything that didn't actually happen, they kind of tipped their hat. And
they did.
They make it pretty explicit. I think that is just to show you the broken nature of the healthcare system and how people deal with mental health. She's a caseworker. She's jaded. She doesn't really give a shit about him, just as much as nobody gives a shit about him, just like nobody really gives a shit about her. They're both kind of stuck in that room together because they have to be.
She kind of says that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what she says.
She says they don't give a shit about you or me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's just the empathy was there for definitely certain situations, and it's hard. It's hard to sit there and say that I would feel like a monster if I didn't say I didn't feel bad for the things that he's experienced as a child and what led him to his state of mind. But it's also to me, it just goes, well, it doesn't excuse what he did. And
No,
I can
absolutely
understand how he
doesn't.
got I can understand how he got there. But then your empathy kind of goes out the window when he's going around shooting people. And I think that's really when you got to be like, well, none of that shit matters anymore.
I will say he doesn't kill indiscriminately.
People
No,
have
he
wronged him.
Yeah.
But the movie is actually not as like I expected a much more violent movie or
Yeah.
consistently violent movie. It's more of a character study and a drama than it is.
And it was great. It was great. And that's why I have a hard time for. I don't understand why you're giving it a 6.5. Like, dude, that's lowballing it,
Because
man.
I thought it was like very on. I mean, it's very obvious. It's very on the nose. I would not say I was surprised by really anything.
But why do you got to be surprised, dude? The whole story is tension building. It's great tension throughout. Those bursts of moments of violence when they do happen, yes, they're expected. You know it's going to happen.
No, I mean I'm looking back in hindsight of like my experience overall with the movie, like how I felt like once it finished, once I thought it said what it had to say or whatever. Like I just didn't have I don't have a super strong opinion about it, which is weird.
But
Did
Sean,
you- Go
oh,
ahead.
you go.
Go ahead,
But Sean, did the views? So you went into it, and nothing surprised you, or you expected. But did did you get that from the outside world before you even went to go see it? Like that's why it didn't surprise you because you kind of you're hearing all the controversy around the movie. Did that lead into the rating as well? Like if you just saw it without hearing any of that.
No, to be full disclosure,
Sean.
I did read this. I did.
Piece of shit.
I read the script a few months
Like
ago.
a piece of shit.
Why would you
Read
do
the
that?
fucking script. Exactly.
I just didn't care about this movie. I did not really care.
Ryan,
about
can we take his vote out, please? Can we deny his score from Metacritic for breaking some sort of copyright infringement rights? I don't think he should.
Was it the final script?
No, actually,
Yes.
there's a lot of differences. Most of the differences had to do with the I can't remember her name. Zendaya, is that the actress's name or something?
No.
Oh, the female character,
It's different.
the girlfriend.
It's a different mixed actress.
Oh, well, sorry, America, I let you down. Zendaya is the one that's like in the Spider-Man movies, right?
Yes. Yep.
And
They do kind of look similar. Are you sure that's not the same person?
no, it's not.
It's the chick from Deadpool 2.
They got-
She's great in.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that Domino. Yeah, that's who. I knew she looked familiar.
Domino or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But
I think she played Domino.
But see, Sean, that's where I have a hard time, dude. It kind of like Ryan infuriated me. I was like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah, but that's like, but it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Like, how well did they execute on some of these things? I thought the same problems I had with the script in terms of being a little thematically confused. It kind of just throws some shit out there that it doesn't really need to do, and then just kind of leaves it out there without any type of art to it.
do you think it leads too much up to interpretation?
I thought some of the social messaging was just fucking weird.
Do you think some of the social messaging in the movie was because what's going on today?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously has definitely
Classics.
influenced by like modern, like the past 5 years of modern politics.
Wait, you guys didn't know?
Political life.
But what's wrong?
Bernie Sanders was a ghostwriter on the script.
What's wrong with it being, whether you agree with the perspective or not? What's wrong with it being?
No,
included
I
in the movie?
don't think it had a perspective. That's what I thought was weird.
Wasn't that
That's
the
what I
point?
thought
It's
was
just
weird.
kind of like a backdrop to. What
I guess,
the
yeah.
world-
I think you can make that argument for sure. That you can say that, like, well, the character we're following, the POV that we have during the movie, does not care. So the movie itself does not care. And even though these things are happening, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's the biggest bummer though, out of everything, is that we're not going to see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in a regular Batman movie.
I doubt it, dude. He's coming
Why?
back. There's no way.
They already said no. They
Well,
said
Todd Phillips said no, and then Joaquin Phoenix said he'd be interested in doing another Joker movie.
Yes.
So But that doesn't mean Batman's gonna be.
Why won't he do it with Batman?
I don't think because I don't think he would commit to a franchise like that. He just they've been trying to get him to do a superhero movie for years.
It's funny.
He was the original pick for Doctor Strange, and he was
Really?
and he was like, no.
Oh, I'm glad he didn't do it. That's a stupid fucking movie.
I
But,
think all those movies are bad.
It's funny when you hear Joaquin Phoenix talk about the movie. He's very just like matter of fact. It's like because people always ask him about, oh, did this role, make you feel
challenge you,
conflicted, or did it, create a long-lasting effect on your psyche? He's like, no, it's just a role. I did my job, and when I went home, I fed my dogs just like any fucking normal day. I just thought that was hilarious. Oh, because one guy killed himself, so it's all supposed to be like this mentally tasking role.
One guy killed himself?
Well, Heath Ledger died from overdose.
Oh.
They don't know if it was suicide.
Oh, might be.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever real.
Oh, you're talking about people that play the Joker in general.
No,
but Jack Nicholson and the other guy, the Hispanic guy that played it back in like the 60s and stuff.
Romero.
Yeah, that guy.
Cesar Romero.
Yeah. So before before the movie came out, what were they trying to say the movie was portraying or projecting or influencing?
They thought it would be like a rallying cry for like white incel people with violence. That's what the critical.
Oh, the critics, yeah.
So do they think about more like mass shootings? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they were connecting it to all that stuff. That's what they were trying to. They still are to this day. Are still
was
writing
there
these
extra
articles.
security, Sean, when you went to see it? Because there was one when I went.
Yeah.
Did you?
They didn't even check my ID, dude. They just let me walk through the door. I was like, holy shit.
Did you hear about the story about the guy who was in the theater who like kept cheering every time the Joker like did something fucked up?
Oh, and then some brave confronted him and got spit on or something.
I don't know. I just saw the headline. I don't read.
Wow. Sounds like something I would do.
Well, because people are like walking out because they felt uncomfortable or something. Why wouldn't you just go tell the people?
Yes, it just popped up on my phone.
It's probably
Yahoo News. Is Joker a dangerous film?
Yeah.
But
so people really think this is going to influence. People think that this will influence a kid and push him over the edge or give him the belief that he could shoot up a school or something along those lines.
There is no. Well, like in my opinion, though, there's no statistical data that actually supports that violence in video games or movies will cause people, at least that I know of, that will cause incite violence.
Well, because they can't. No, but what the critics, what they fundamentally don't understand or are not mature enough to deal with is that like you can have a protagonist in a movie and he's not the hero.
Yeah.
So they automatically go to this assumption that like, well, we follow this guy, so he's like the de facto hero of the movie, and that's going to make people think that what he does is right, even though the movie is kind of saying the opposite. He's saying he's a product of bad parenting, the system, his mental illness not being taken seriously.
Right.
Here's the thing that I have.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
On him being like crazy or weird, if he's like, I don't know his character too well because I haven't seen it, but if he's weird or crazy, you guys were making a comment on the thing about how he was acting like, but if he's weird, like he can't act, or if he has an issue, some kind of psychological issue, he can't like turn that off and act normal.
No. Well, that's actually a quote from the movie. He says like the worst part about mental illness is that everybody expects you to act like you don't have it.
Yep.
Like, which is a fair point. Like, it's just like he has something he cannot. It's a compulsion. He can't control it, but society will shun him because he can't control it. They just expect you to act "quote unquote" normal, which is, I think, is a fair thing to make notice of.
I don't know. I thought overall though I thought it was well done, and I don't think it's kind of hard to judge it in a negative way because it was a new take and it felt fresh. At least it wasn't the same old dog and pony show bullshit that I see every 6 to 8 months or every 6 months with them, every Marvel movie. I just appreciate the fact that gives it even more for me that they tried to do something original. And it's just like Logan. Logan was outside of that world. It was dark. It was gritty. It was great. Logan, I think overall is probably a better overall film in some ways, but I would still give it around a 7.5 or 8, 8.5, all within the same ballpark because I respect the fact that they at least went out and did something and they took a shot. They took a real shot and they didn't sit there and placate to the nerds and geeks that love this stuff and they just want to see their version.
Well, that's I mean, I guess I didn't have a problem with this, but I think you can make the argument that there's no reason this movie needs to be called Joker or have anything to do with the Joker.
Yeah,
Sure.
sells tickets.
It just sells tickets. It's just a way for people to, not to say that, but like I said, not to say that this isn't wouldn't be an impactful version of that character. I seriously would like to see a version of this character in a movie with a Batman movie that has a similar, a little bit closer to a tone of this movie.
I heard some criticisms. It was like this Joker is not competent enough for the Batman to take seriously.
People were saying that he's an idiot and he's a moron. I was like, I never saw that. I never saw him act like a moron.
No, he's not. There's no sign of a lack of intelligence.
You don't get to see enough of his life to know that. I don't see. What are you seeing that they show him he's pathetic. He can't help himself. Sure, but it's not. It doesn't make a comment on his intelligence.
Yeah, but at the end, he does use intelligence in a sense. He uses that interview to generally spark a riot.
Do you think he knows he's going to do that?
I think so. I think.
Or is he just because he was going to kill himself?
Right.
I wish he did. Honestly, I wish because since this is supposed to be a one-off, I was really hoping he would kill himself.
I didn't expect him to die because I just thought, I mean, that would because then he definitely would not be the Joker.
Well, I know, but it would just been interesting to see him kill himself. It'd been cool. I don't know. I would have liked it.
Isn't the Joker supposed to be a mad genius, kind of like that old saying, he's crazy but a genius?
Yeah, he's like an agent but all he cares about is chaos.
And that's why he's unpredictable. It's not even that he's hyper intelligent or smart. He's just unpredictable.
I think he's definitely trending towards that in the movie. And if there was another movie, it would just.
Does he manipulate people?
Yes, I mean that's one of his. I would say Joker's.
Yeah, that's why. In the movie, does he do a lot of that?
No manipulating.
I mean, I guess he does start to towards the end, right? That's the thing. He doesn't actually become the Joker basically until the last fucking 5 minutes of the movie.
That's okay.
When he's standing on the car and he does the blood smile, he's the Joker.
I thought that was pretty sweet.
No, this movie has. Don't get me wrong. The movie has some great moments, and I could see it probably growing on me over time. But I am just so familiar with what it's referencing.
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not. So it's definitely going to affect you differently. I've seen Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy so many times. They're some of my favorite movies. It is very close to those movies. Very close. In my opinion.
So should I watch those movies before I see it?
No, Dan said, I think you probably appreciate it more if you watch them after.
Because I've never seen either of them.
They're better. Listen, they're better movies than Joker.
I think they're different movies.
How dare you?
They're better movies.
I don't think it's. I can agree to that. Taxi Driver, for sure.
I mean, they're all character studies. I mean, King of Comedy skews obviously towards being. It's more of a straight comedy. It's more of a dark comedy, but
awkward comedy.
They're all character studies. I mean,
right.
Obviously, it goes a little closer to Taxi Driver in tone and the type of things it's dealing with.
Sure. Yeah, I can agree to that. Definitely in tone-wise, that dark, jazzy tone.
I mean, does anybody have any what's your most memorable moment from the movie?
When the dwarf or small man can't when he tries to escape and he can't reach the lock.
Dwarf? You fucking bigot.
Well, I'm trying not to be offensive. What's the word?
Little person. Jesus.
Oh, I thought dwarf was the exception.
Hey, get over here, you fucking midget.
Or short in height.
Yeah.
Yes,
height disadvantage.
3'5" man who tries to escape after Arthur Flank brutally kills that big ass dude. So, Mike, what happens is, I'm not gonna say it, but the guy tries to escape, he can't, and then just like that interaction between.
Yeah,
the
that was
Joker
the
and
that was the
him.
weird thing. Like, so you guys know the other movies Todd Phillips directed?
Hangover and
Yeah, he's basically. Yeah. Okay. So for 10 minutes, this movie turns into a Todd Phillips movie all of a sudden.
you talking about that moment?
Like
It's a great comic relief, man.
from that moment up until he gets on the train, like he's being chased by the cops. Like, because it has like the what's that song called? That stadium music's fucking.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I almost felt like that didn't fit at first. I was like, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, but it didn't. It felt like I was watching like the Hangover. Like that would be something that would be in the Hangover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it goes back to being like a serious drama.
Yeah.
It's a great.
That was my
Ryan,
favorite.
go ahead.
That was my favorite.
Or Sean, excuse me, Sean. Sean, go ahead.
Actually, I thought like the scene that stuck out me the most was probably the second time he goes to see like the therapist or whatever, and she tells him he's not gonna be able to get medication and stuff. Like some of those moments, that scene in general really stuck with me.
And the fact that he was concerned. He's like, well, where am I going to get my medication? So it's, I don't know. I like that part.
Well, yeah, but there's a whole thing of concern. It's like, you just don't even try to help me. Like, I need help, and you're not even trying. You don't even care.
Yeah.
Like, he has a moment of self-awareness before he kind of just decides to say, fuck it.
Yep. Dan?
All right. Well, mine's not a scene. Okay, it's a whole fucking movie. No, I'm kidding. I think it's not a scene; it's a moment. There's one moment that sticks out to me every time I think of the Joker, and it's the scene where he gets called back to go to his boss office, and he's buttoning up the shirt, and he's like that freaking part.
Oh, from the trailer?
Yeah, dude, it's so awesome. I don't know why, and he just stops. It's like perfect acting. It's just this perfect moment. He's scared. He's nervous. And then
do it again.
I don't know why. Why?
I don't know.
Well, I think that was an indicator that he picks and chooses. Sometimes that's not real.
It's like a nervous tick almost.
Like sometimes it is, and then sometimes
I think it was.
He just does it, and then to get out of situations.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, it was on the way to the office. What situation was he getting out of? He was going to a situation.
Oh, because he was trying to be normal. He's trying to act like a normal guy.
Yeah,
they're
cutting
up. They're cutting up. They're giving each other shit, and he wants to be one of the guys.
He just draws it out into the fucking hallway.
That or the scene where he's sitting in the club. That's also when he's laughing and no one's reacting to him.
Yeah,
he's laughing at the wrong part.
Yeah, he's just trying to be like a normal person.
Yeah.
Even all of his notes are like, make eye contact, talk about sexy things.
Yeah. And it looks like a child wrote it. You're like, oh, so many signs. I bet he had BO, $10. I thought that the whole movie. I'm like, this dude must stank. He must have the worst BO.
Probably.
And he was wearing those lady pajamas. Oh, stuff was great. It was great. But that's it. That's it for me. That's it. Mike, since you don't have opinion, how'd you enjoy our talk?
I enjoyed it. I want to see it. I want to see more about. I love the part. I love the fact that they put that in there with the whole psychology. How he can't stop being weird.
Yeah, he really can't.
I do think even though it's kind of it's not super realistic. I thought they did actually a pretty good job of showing somebody that actually struggles with their mental illness. That is. Yeah. That it is not like some. I don't know what the right way to put it is, but he's just not.
It's a process, right?
It's a process, and that it's just this everyday grind for him.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people that suffer from mental illness have that same type of perspective. There's just no light for them.
Yeah, and I can, I used to be a little bit socially awkward, especially around girls. And people used to always tell me, "Oh, just be yourself, but it's like yourself is socially awkward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this is who I am.
Yeah.
Well, how did that make you feel?
What?
Well, I guess when people told you to be yourself.
When people would say that to me, I was just thinking in my head this is myself. like I'm a little bit strange. This is who I am. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean be myself? Like, I'm socially awkward. That's kind of who I am. Like, it's just what it is. Like, I can't help but not be it.
Well, what made you? Well, I mean, because I would say you're not socially, at least anymore.
Well, not anymore,
Not
but when I was like a teenager, I was.
Trial
Sure.
by fire type of deal.
Yeah, that's
So
you
did
know
you
that's
just-
what made me get over it was just, and it was more with girls than anything else. But it was just going on a bunch of dates, getting used to being
Yeah.
comfortable being around people, and going to social events and being in social events helped
Yeah.
me get around it. But people used to always say that to me. It's just like, oh, be yourself. Well, when I try to be myself, I just end up being socially awkward. It's just
Mhm.
I cannot not be it.
So you are the Joker.
Oh, see, what that proves is like you very well could have been the Joker, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See, everybody.
Well, thank God you had such good
bad
family
day
like
away.
us, man. Without us, who knows where you'd be, man.
Oh my
You know?
goodness.
You'd be the Joker. That's who you'd be.
Yeah.
No,
Mike
but
is such
I
a-
like that part how they put that in the movie where Sean said where they said that because I used to think about that. People would be like, oh, just be yourself. Well, myself is a little bit socially awkward. Like I'm a little bit awkward. You guys get that, you know? Like I would,
Yeah,
Sure.
you know, I would be a little bit odd. That's just who I am. It's like I can't not be that.
Just stop being who you are until you learn to adapt and figure it out, and then not change. 'Cause you didn't change who you. I think you didn't
No,
change.
I
Walter,
picked up on
right?
social cues. Like I
Right.
didn't know, you know, there were certain social cues that I wouldn't know. Eye contact, where to look, when to look, how long to
Yeah.
look for.
Mm.
You know,
Do-
if a girl's looking you back in the eye, what does that mean? You know, certain types of body language. So there was a lot of things that I had to learn, but those types of things I didn't know. I would just like stare down at the ground. You know, get all sweaty and then get tunnel vision.
Damn.
Do you think that's why you would act kind of wild sometimes?
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Okay.
why I would use alcohol to get free of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Jump into
Trust me,
that.
Mike would be wild.
Oh yeah, I bet. We gotta have some wild man stories from
No, we
back
will. No,
eventually.
but I love that. You know, that's I really want to see that. Like when he's on the train, that sounds like a really cool scene to me.
Yeah, it's the whole Mike. I think it's a good movie. Don't listen to Sean. He cheated every step of the way.
Well, Sean wasn't really that negative about it.
No,
I know. I don't know how he's giving it a 6.5. It's just like you barely.
Did you even see it, bro? Like,
Wait, you know what? Sean was in there fucking with the script that he illegally got. Fucking nope. This is bullshit. This is
5 is average, so it's an above average movie, Sean.
I said it's a
5 is not
6.5,
average.
6.5 and a 7, somewhere in there.
Listen.
And I also said it could grow on me. Like I did like that performance a lot.
Like Justice League.
Well, a 7's pretty good.
Listen,
what I say.
I don't
That's what I
believe
say.
I don't believe anything Sean says because he likes Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, your movie taste is
All right.
bad.
We're not going there. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been the Zoobox Goes to the Movies. I guess go see the Joker if you want to get radicalized. I was radicalized
Absolutely.
today. Dan was radicalized. Well, way before he saw the movie. This was more of a rallying cry for him. And Ryan seems like he's handling it pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Go
then
see
Mike.
it.
Oh fuck, Mike! You didn't go see it.